Tansakiwao, Lamar Sasakiwian, Sigasuan, Nagwanakao, Tinu, Tin. Hello, my name is Lamar Sasakiwian, and I'm originally from Sweetgrass First Nation. Traditional games, traditionally, was our way of acquiring skills to survive. I'll be demonstrating some of the games that I'm talking about and the concepts behind it, some history behind it, some stories behind it, but most importantly, the concepts behind it. There are target games, games of chance, games focused on numeracy, such as subtraction, subdiving, dividing. There are games of that like cognitive thinking, and games that will require eye-hand coordination and timing. The games that I'm going to show, some do have strict rules, but there are some that can be modified, and they're going to be modified anyways by the kids. And once the kids start modifying the games, that's when you step back and let them do what they want to do. I'll start with the target one, and I'll use this as the target. So this is a bison, and it's a she. We made our dolls anatomically correct because in our culture they're just body parts. So she was just going to be hanging like this, and we usually hang the target from inside the teepee pole. So like for example, I'll hang it from this teepee pole here and there, and then what we do is instead of shooting from a certain line we draw in the sand like they do for like darts, because if we do it that way I have an advantage because I'm taller. So what we do is we have this the players stand beside the target and they take 2 natural walking strides away. 2 natural walking strides is your body height. So a taller person would be a little farther, shorter person, it levels the playing field. And then once they, the choice of weapon is this. Technically this is a dart. It's a feather, but it's a dart. And we use whatever feathers we can, not eagle feathers. They're sacred, and this is not the place for them, because these feathers are going to be tossed. So we take this and we try and hit this. And so you can see that was the wind. and if I could hit it, if I did, edit that later. And then you use the other hand, and you try and hit the same target. We have this, the young people hit it with both hands. If they're successful with both hands, they take another step back. And then they keep doing that until they're about 5 steps. We don't usually go more than 5 steps because teepees don't get bigger. You know what I mean? So if we can do that from 5 steps away, whatever. And then from the teepee pole, now try hit it. See, as you see it gets progressively harder and harder to be more challenging. So you need to develop those skills. Now we're talking about timing, not about hitting targets, hitting a moving target. Now they know to throw just a little bit in front of it. And also at the same time, you saw my second feather kind of flutter away. What they're going to understand later is that they're going to understand that the curvature of the feather plays a factor. Should it be curved side down, up, sideways, inside? What they're going to find out later is that they need to make it, they need to straighten it. And then if it gets farther away, what they're going to find out is that they're eventually going to need a little weight to it, hence the arrow. Okay? So they'll find that out on their own. And we just need a little bit of guidance, but then they get there. For the early years, more of like the eye-hand coordination and that development. Also ambidextrous skills, which is very important. That's more important than we realize.
And traditionally, why was that so important that we use both sides?
If you break your arm, you still have to eat. So you still gotta be able to use both.
Yeah. So these games, they also teach survival skills, the hunting skills, being able to provide and for yourself and your family. But one of the topics in our program is play.
Yeah.
As well. So can you maybe give your perspective on why it's so important for children to play?
Well, I've heard earlier like that we just you allow children to play, give them the opportunity, give them the space, and they will take that space and they'll kind of run with it. These particular ones target a certain specific skill for them to learn, and they would play that. And you know what? Once you do that, what I've found out is that the kids that play it, they're going to modify the games anyways to their own. But as long as they hit that little target that we're trying to achieve, after that, you know. For first things, because I teach land-based learning, get them out on the land. Just get them right on the land there. Take their shoes and socks off. Get them to feel that land, feel the grass, and from there is where the beginning of being reconnected to that land. And then, as far as the games go, it's actually going out with them, going for walks, and as we go along, keep in mind that we need rocks that are the size of thumbnails, rocks that are no longer than your thumb. Look for willows. The willow sticks that we get are from your hip to your extended arm in length. The other ones are like the length of the forearm, so we're using our body because that was our original unit of measurement. So keep in mind those as we're going out for walking, and getting the young ones to learn the concept of not only looking but seeing. Like learn to look to see. Like, so at the end of a walk, you're simply asking, "What did you see?" And as you keep doing that, they're going to be more detailed as to what they actually see out there. The word that I've heard popped up is wakutuin. We use it to mean like relations, but what I've also heard is that it means like connectedness. Like how are you connected? Not only in terms of family, like Nutawi, Nagawi, and so forth, but how are you connected also to the land? And I think that's I believe that's the direction we should be going, because that's what makes us as indigenous people like unique. Because once you're connected to the land, then you're intrinsically responsible to the land, and knowing that we belong to the land. We just don't own land. We belong to it, because one day we're going to return to it. So.
What age do you?
This as soon as they can throw something, because they see a target right away, they're going to try to throw something, and eventually they're going to figure out that. In order for it to fly a certain distance, you have to manipulate the feather. Eventually, they'll find that out, because when the men are out hunting, when they're gone for several days, and who's left back at the camp are the women and the kids, and the women are take care of the camp. Yes, the women go hunting as well, but so can the young kids. They can get rabbits, which brings on to the next one. Is this? So once they graduate from these, there's a next level. And with these, you take this and you roll it along the ground very fast, so it bounces. And then what they try to do is they have a spear, and they throw the spear at it, try to hit it as it goes by. So eventually they pin it. So it looks like that on the ground. And that's the only way it counts. As otherwise, the kids will say, "Hey man, mine went right through." Yeah, right. Yeah. Mine goes through all the time, eh? So and there's a few of us doing this, And I remember at Sundance, it was late Adam Bear, they call him Joyce. He used to make little bows out of willow, and he'd do that, and he'd try and shoot it with arrows, bow and arrows. So there was so develop hunting skills early. So like I said, that's one. As far as traditional games goes, that would be kind of like one area is target. So
would they be that size always, or
they say this size because this is the size of like a kill shot, like a one shot kill shot, like the heart and lungs of even a larger animal. So we just call them rabbits because you throw them fast and they hop. So and yeah, they keep going until they go out and hunt. Very, very simply, it sits on the ground. You throw it in the air above your head, and as soon as you see it, you have to shoot it. For example, that see, again the wind. It's windy right here. It's wind. So they hit it like this. Then they switch hands, always switching hands, just like this one. So we always encourage them to throw it the right and with the left, because if you break your arm, you still have to eat. So you better learn to use both. So that's why I encourage the young, early childhood kids, use both hands, write their name, use both hands, color both hands, get used to that skill. Oh, and by the way, this one here, as they get better, the rings get smaller. So eventually it barely fits over this, and that's kind of like the professional level. So they did a study on this in Montana with people that had a certain kind of stigmatism in the eye, and they played this over a period of about 9 months. And after 9 months, they tested their eyesight again, and they found it actually improved, because this works on fast twitch muscles in the eye. Because when especially if you do it right, you got to throw it up above your head, so you have to be able to see it in motion and shoot it at the same time. So, and you got to do it fast too. So, by the way, after 9 months, when they stopped playing that game, it returned that stigmatism. It's like, so the eyes in your muscles are like muscles. If you don't use them, you lose them. So, yeah, so those would be target games. Here's a perfect example of numeracy, and we'll use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Well, by the way, a little bit of math for you. According to this one mathematician from Australia, Aborigines mathematician, he says that math started with what's called a RAMR model, R-A-M-R. The first R means a real problem. What's a real problem? What's going on? The A stands for abstract. You have to form an abstract thought on how are you going to do this, solve this problem. The M stands for mathematics. You mathematically go over the problem. Then the last R is review. Does it make sense? So, and the math that we use nowadays in schools, the digital digits came from an Arabic numbers, and those are actually based on angles, the number of angles. Yeah, the number 1, it has 1 angle. Even the number 7, it actually technically has 7 angles on it, and 0 has no angles. So they're based on angles. So it's actually based on math. In our culture, we don't have a word for math, just like we don't have a word for religion. But we taught those concepts using just these. And like, for example, on this one here, I have a little white, I put a little white string on here. And what you do is You mix them around. The skill here is observation, that you're talking like really specific observation. And I just happen to have a volunteer right here. So our volunteer, she's going to pick them out, but she does not want the one with the white string on it. So we'll see how good your observation skills are. So you just pick one, not that one. Right. Okay, that's one. That's one. So keep going. 2. So you shouldn't get a perfect score. It's never happened, by the way. No pressure. 3. This one. This one. Oh, no, that did not. So, yeah, I was trying to tell her. See? You saw what I was doing there. Is that kind of teasing there is actually encouraged. Psychological warfare. Yeah, so we encourage it a lot in our culture. When you talk about hand games, yeah, there you go. But you develop observational skills. So after the second round, she's going to know which one it is. You should, yeah. I've done this with kids there, younger kids there, and they know which one after, and they're able to see the subtleties in the differences. So that's why it's a string. So you take it off the string and put it onto another one. So it's always the probability is always the same. So this works on probability and observational skills. So they have to they train their brain to be really observant to small details, just by doing this. And younger kids, like 3, 4 year olds probably, they can start with start with 5, and then in math technically we're a base 10 because you can see 10. Okay? Inuit are base 20. They put their feet in the air. You can see 20. Yeah. So there's also 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. This would be good for 5, 6 year olds who can count to 20. And in this case here, the game is they have to win all 3 of these. And how do you get them? Is that you have to guess the correct number of these. And I'll get you to guess the number on this hand. You guess the number on this hand. The number that I hear first is the one I count. If they're correct, they get one. Yeah. And so you have to say the number very fast.
8.
8. See. she was looking somewhere else. So then we count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at that there. Yeah. So he gets one there. Get one there. So we'll do this again. All right. Oh, she's ready. She's ready now. All right. Let's try this again.
7.
Oh. 7, she says. With this, you can even work backwards. Like how many here? 4. So how many left? So 16. So you can also say that you hear the number 12 first. You can also say, does that look like 12? Yeah, just by look, does it look like 12? And they'll say yes or no. No. Does it look less or more? It looks more. Okay? See, that's what you want. Eh? You should be able to you should be able to see a number. So we'll try it again.
5.
19.
Yeah. You know the numbers are going to be way off right away at first there. So, we'll try it again, quick.
5.
5, she says. Okay.
Too much stress.
Uncross your eyes there.
Okay.
Okay, real quick. Yeah.
You have to be accurate when you play this game.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be. Yeah.
Not closest to.
No. It's not a grenade or horseshoes. No, so this one here.
10.
10. See. and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then you ask, how many left?
13.
Yeah, so you're always asking, how many left? How many left? So you're working on estimation and subtraction at the same time.
And also learning complements too, if you're doing complements of 5 and 10.
Yeah.
When I was teaching, I learned that was a concept I figured out with my students that was really important, like 3 plus 2 equals 5, or 7 plus 3 equals 10, 8 plus 2 equals 10. Like learning those was really good for the mental math.
Yeah, and also, like I said, also seeing the numbers.
Yeah.
Well, like what does this look like?
Yeah.
Not exactly how many there are. So I can take like all 20, take 1 away, which is 19, which is an odd number. And now you divide them, and then you have to ask them which ones is the even number, which hand, and then you keep moving like this. Which one? Like why am I moving them? Why am I moving them?
So they can kind of get a visual and kind of
Visual, but not count. And no counting, eh? So you have to look at something and see that you can divide it evenly between 2. And then whatever, use the hand game signals to guess. And then once you do that, then you count by 2s. 2, 4, 6,
skip
8,
counting as well.
10. Yeah, you skip counting. So, and with these ones here, I'll use this blue one for a visual. It's the same thing. You'll be like you versus you. You have to guess the correct number of stones. But here's the thing: you have to guess the number before the stones stop moving. So
5.
no, see, too slow, eh? And then again, you can say, did it look like 5? See? So then, but let's say, let's do one more really quickly. Let's move them around, random. 10. See, that was kind of moving. We'll let that one slide there. Just this once. You get 1. And then from here, now you can assess their counting. You can either have them counting by 1s, to count them off, or you can have them pair them off, and skip counting by 2s. And then you can say if there's 1 left over, is it an even number? So is it really going to be 10 without even counting? Yeah, then no. Or eventually you can put them into groups of 3 and still get the same. Yeah, you know, multiplication, factoring. So this is a way of assessing how they count. And the importance of saying the number before they stop moving, it forces them to say it fast. Say the number fast. Like I said, you should have to, you have to see the number. Like I found out in math that if the students don't have a connection to that number, they're not going to know what it is. If I say the number 6, like what comes to mind? Like for me, it's 6 donuts. Yeah, or is it, yeah. This plus 1. Yeah. So something comes to mind that you have a connection with. But if I say the number 22, okay.
A jersey number maybe.
Jersey number, yeah. So you think who has number 22? So so you have to have, it has to be some correlation to that number in order for you to see it. Then you can work it from there. And that's actually one of the problems in math in schools, is that we're teaching this guy has 14 watermelons, he's buying 7 more. What does he have? Then right away you want to know the backstory. What's up with the watermelons? Why is there on sale? Is that Costco? Like, what's going on? Like, yeah, is there a feast? Yeah, did they have to serve watermelons at a feast? Yeah, that's different. What kind of feast is this? So yeah, run out of apples. Yeah, so which kind of segues into this. These here are made of deer antlers. So we went out and we looked for sheds. And when we found a shed, we took it and we sliced it like bologna, nice and thick. And then you color one side, you mark one side, you leave the other blank. and there's 3 of them. And these ones here are 2 stars or 2 moons. The reason for the stars and moons, it has to do with our creation story of where we come from. So it's just like a little reminder without telling the story. So what they do is they hold them like this, and then they throw them in the air, and then there's a scoring system to this. So that's 2 points, and then there's another 2. Yeah, I'm on a roll. There's another 2. Nope, no score. These ones have to match. These 3. Once these 3 match, then you look at the other 2. So if everything matches, that's 2. If these match and these are mixed, that's 1. If these 3 don't match, it's 0. So it's 0, 1, 2. And what I did for my grade 7, 8 students is I had them in groups of 5, 4, and 5, and then they played this game. And then it's a race to 11. So then if you don't get a score, next person. And when you throw them, you have to catch them. If one falls out, it's no good. And you can't do this. There, look at that. You can't do that there. They have to be in the air or else you'll be called out. So I know my students, who's doing well in math, who doesn't. And I won't say her name, but I went into that group and I asked her, what's your score? And she told me the score right away. I have 4. Well, who's close to winning? Well, this one is. Yeah, 7. Anyone have 0? Yeah, this one. Then she already knows everyone's score. And so I'll tell her to take that information, which is actually data, and put it on the board and represent that data. She would rate names and the scores, and she eventually was making graphs. So then I asked her to represent it in a different way, and she made a little circle graph using those scores. So she was able to do that because the data she collected was hers. She had a connection with that data. Otherwise, she couldn't give a crap of what I gave her.
Chapter 7.
Yeah, chapter 7. Yeah, I would.
Making data
Yeah,
graphs.
and I don't have to make up the stuff.
Yeah.
So she goes out there, collects data, represents data, which is what we're looking for in math. And she's able to do that. She had no problem. And a month later, she already still knows the scores, and she still wanted to play. She said, can we play this? Because she wanted to win. So there's a like competitive side. So that's a game here. Going back to the willows here, you can also work with eye-hand coordination. Yeah, have the kids try this on the back of their hand, and then 1, then 2, and you keep going up. See how many they can do. Yeah? And no, I won't do it. This one here is our version of a board game. This one here. Yeah. And in this board game, you take, you make your own marker, and you put it down. Here's another marker. Someone else playing. So you'll be playing. You want to start from here. And then the object of the game is you want to go all the way around until you end up at where you started. And if you go past, you got to keep going. So yeah, you can't go. There's no reverse. Yeah. And then what we use are dice. So this represents 1. That's 3. That's 5. It's 1, 3, or 5, and that's it. So you take the dice and then you throw them. See, that's 3. Then 1, 2, 3. Now this person is going to come this way. That way we're not chasing each other. Otherwise, the game goes by too fast. So now it's this person's turn, and then they throw the dice for sake of time. 1, and they keep going in those directions. If someone came along and says, "Hey man, can I play?" Yeah, sure. Find a marker, and it says, "I want to start from here." Right, go ahead. And then they jump in and play. If you have more than if you have several players going, you just add more of these stones. But here's the thing about these stones, is that in our culture, the number 4 does have a significance to it. 4 seasons, 4 stages in life, 4 directions, etc. This, the number of stones here, it has to basically be a multiple of 4. So right now there's 16, so 4, 4, 4, 4. See, there's 16. So if I wanted to add more, I have to add 4 more stones, be 20. I was playing this game with some kids in Beardies, and we were inside a teepee, and we had 40 stones. And we were all like shoulder to shoulder, we're just tossing there, we're all going in different directions, eh? And it was just, there's a game, what was that game called? Sorry. Yeah. So if it was landing there, and I rolled a 3, 1, 2, 3, and that person occupied it. This person has to start all the way from the beginning. And I go, and then they continue. This one here is subtraction, adding, like how many more do I need? And it's a quick, fun game, especially if you play with speed.
Oh, okay.
Playing with speed, because now you're throwing, and then everybody knows what direction they're going, and you should know where you started from. And if you don't, someone will tell you, no, you didn't start from there, you liar, you started from there. So, and then you can also resolve those conflicts there too. And that's an advantage of playing games like this, is that it's good for conflict resolution. As far as these goes, let's say, for example, there are no deer. So, well, what are you going to use? You can use a flat. You can use something that has a flat surface, and then you can just mark it, leave the other one blank, and still use it. They used to take long sticks and bounce them off a stone and see how they land, to see how many they advance. So, like, these are little board games that we had. This here. Oh, what I suggest for people is to go harvest willows. Take the kids, go harvest willows, and when you're going to go cut these willows, they're going to be. This is the base, and these, of course, are the branches. So before we cut, just have some tobacco down, just put some down, and I usually have the young ones say it. They say "Nanaskaman," I thank you, and they say you're supposed to say a prayer, but that is a prayer. I mean, the shortest prayer is 2 words. It's thank you. So you just put tobacco down, thank you, because this one is teaching us. So, and then the little branches there become these, which is teaching us, and it also becomes these, which is still teaching us. So we have to give thanks, give props to them. So this one here, when I say traditional games, I don't mean like they're exclusively ours. I'm saying we did play them, like way back in the day, but you find a lot of these games like all over the world. When I was in New Zealand, I would show the Maori some games, and then they would show me a game. They'll say, hey, we have something like that here, and they'll show me that. Like, so for example, here's one. Like this one here. Eh? So yeah, so Cat's Cradle there. So I remember my late Nukum, late Annie Whitecalf, Agi Deet. She would, we would play this. I'd go chop wood for her. Actually, I remember her chopping wood. I looked out the window and I could see her this is winter time. She's chopping wood. I thought, I go run over there. I go chase her inside. I go chop the wood for her, and she'd have a fire going. She makes bannock and tea. She'd have this on the windowsill, and then she'll let, as the bannock is cooling down there, she'd bring this out, and then she'd start telling me things as she's doing this. She says, hey, you know, where your dad made that house, the poplar trees are apart. There's space between, but not like Elsie's house. Your Auntie Elsie, the trees there are close together as if they came from the same root. And then she'd go like this, and we'd pass it back and forth. And I still remember that. And the reason I remember is because my hands are busy. Once my hands become busy, the ears perk up. So one way to develop a rapport with a young person, just play this, because they're focused on this, and then sometimes they would open up. The same thing is said with fire. You want to talk to someone, just start a little fire, and you can stare at the fire, and you can, for some reason, it kind of brings out topics of conversation. So string game. So I asked people, like, when's the last time you played it? Gaius, long ago, yeah. And so, yeah, why aren't we doing it now, So why can't we? This would be the hardest game I know. I say it is the hardest game that I play, and it's a form of pickup sticks. It's a simple game. They say it is, and where it is, I'm already lost it here. There it is. We'll go with this one here. So we have to. They stand up, they fall down, and then using this, you have to move the other sticks out without anything moving. So if you want to develop skills to be a surgeon, this is the game to do it. So again, you learn the concentration, you learn to slow down things, and take things, be very meticulous, and then like in hunting, you're out there being patient, be meticulous in the shot, get the shot ready, and then make that shot quick. So you have to decide where am I going to go next? Where am I going to go next here? Right here, this one on the top. So, didn't do it fast enough. So the thing about this one is everybody's just watching really carefully.
Yeah.
And that one's moving, and you're out. Kids are like the most brutal judges, man, ever, man. You can't even argue, man. So you're right there. So that would be one. So like I said, of course, with the young kids, just start off with like 5, and then let them work at it. Even just using just their fingers to one, but make sure nothing else moves. Yeah, and that's the key. And let them progress to like this many. So let them try that now. And so there's a lot with just these by themselves. Yeah, and the advantage to these games, one advantage to these games is that when you're moving from camp to camp, you want to move with as less things as possible. Otherwise, you gotta carry everything. And if you ever carried everything, you know what I mean. Like from the groceries, you got to carry like 10 bags at once. So in this case here, everything that you see here, it could be made at the next camp. Like you don't, as if this is the only place ever they grow. You just pick them at the next camp. These ones here, they're sheds, and stones are stones. This one here is called different names, but stone people is the most common one. And I'll start with this one here. This particular stone, I found this one at Bragg Creek. I was harvesting stones. I needed flat stones. So I went to the riverbank, and I was going along the river, and I came across this one. And it has a little fossil like embedded in it. I found out later it's called a horned coral. And they existed between 250 to 450 million years ago. So that's how old this one would occur to this stone. So if you think about it, what has this particular stone seen for those past 250 million years? So when you think about it, and it was found near the base of the mountain, so obviously it saw the ice ages, not just one, because there were many ice ages that formed the Rocky Mountains. So there's a witness to it. And it's seen many animals that you don't see anymore. And like prairie wolves, we won't have those anymore. Mammoth. You used to have giant beavers, a little bigger than this table. And they seen it. So they store all that knowledge. So that's why, so we asked them for it. Like in our language, the word people, Isinuak. Yeah, the root word is asini, which means stone. Okay? Yeah. So this is the first person. So this is actually an animate in our culture. So this one's like it has a spirit in it. So we asked the stone, like, tell us what you've seen, like learn us, show us some wisdom here. That's why we use them in sweats to release some of that knowledge for us. So, because of that, in this game here, you're not allowed to like clink the stones together. We can, but you don't want them to. You don't want these ones to break, and these ones are not allowed to be tossed. Sure, we toss stones, we skip stones and all that, but these particular ones, off limits. And I put symbols on there. This one means village, mountains, and arrows. Okay, I'll go back to you now. Now, village, mountains, arrows. I want you to give me a sentence that has all three words.
When I went to the village, I lost my arrows, so I had to travel to the mountain.
Okay, you hear that? It's recorded, by the way. So what? I'll take your place in this one, just for the sake of the movement here. Is well, what you would do is you would take these three, you'd pick them up one at a time and put them here, okay? But of course, these are far apart. Like we're talking the width of this room, and you go and pick them up one at a time. And the thing is that these three have to appear over here in the exact same order as they are here. And it has to be like this, not mirror. It's not a mirror image, because you're looking at them, eh? Yeah. And then you can't flip them around, so it's got to be directly. So then you take one at a time, and then like as fast as you can, because there are others doing this too. So I have like 6 or 7 people doing this all at the same time and racing these stones. So then you race them to there and there. And then you say it finished. And then, because everybody's watching, by the way, and then you asked the one main judge, you have a main judge here, and then I asked that one question: are these the same as they were here? Yes or no? What do you think?
Yes.
Really? Really? I should put this one outward on purpose. It's 100% yes or it's no.
Okay.
So that's I put them. They're supposed to be closer together. Yeah. There you didn't have the correct angle there. So let's go back to the camera. See. Yeah. So they have to be in the same order.
Okay.
Like it's 100% or it's none. If it's none, you do not get to the next level. So, and then you get 1 point if you're first person. Okay, once you do this, let's say you are correct. Okay, repeat your story.
I lost my arrows in the village, so I went to the mountains.
Was that correct verbatim?
No.
No. What's?
She said mountain, not mountains.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. You had a singular mountain, yeah, and you added another mountains there. See,
Yeah.
So your story changed. But in this case, we'll say that she got it right. The second part is a mountain, and what would happen next is that we would add another stone, and then we go back, and we just keep adding stones as we go. I did this with the grade 7, 8 students, and they were up to 7 stones. And the importance of this one, by the way, comes from the Supreme Court. They had a case called Delgamuukw. In Delgamuukw, the Supreme Court ruled that in First Nations oral history is considered valid testimony. This game kind of validates that, because once you say the story out loud, like we're all hearing, okay? And we all said, "Oh, there was something you missed," so we corrected it, just like like our stories, eh? So when you say a story out loud, when you repeat that story, like we're all listening again to the story because it's a story, and if something's wrong, we'll say, "Well, I heard it this way," like then we correct it to make sure the story is correct. Like it's nothing personal, but the story is important. And like if I said, I caught a fish at the river, it was this big. Then next year we come back, I'll say, oh, I caught a fish there last year, it was this big. And I see it right away, a little snicker, eh? Right? And then 5 years later, I said, I remember 5 years ago, I went to a meeting here, and it was like, caught a fish, man, it was only that big. And right away I think, I don't know, man. But if I went, I caught a fish, it was that big. And 5 years from now, I caught a fish in a lake, in a river, it was that big. Then you're gonna go, yeah, you suck. As a fisherman, you're bad, yeah, you caught bait. So, but that what's important is that getting the story right when it's passed down. So, and this develops that skill, develops memory, not only your memory but everybody else's memory, because we have to remember it, and we have to remember it the first time you say it. Yeah. So I did this. It was a shell and a blanket and a river, and they said there was a shell on a blanket by the river. All right, and she raised her rocks across, and she said there was a shell on a blanket by the river, and we all said, oh, that sounds right. And then a little girl in the back, she said, did she say ah? Then we all looked at each other. Ah, yeah, she did, eh? That little ah is a little pause that changes the story. It changes the rhythm of that story. So that little ah got her cut off. And I didn't even catch that, but she did. Yeah? So it's a testament for what that means is the youth, they're always listening. So we gotta watch our words too. So we have what are called evasive games. Dodgeball. Yeah, we did have our form of dodgeball. And there is a dodgeball where you put a blunt end on an arrow and you're throwing arrows at each other. Yeah. And of course those spear grass. We have games that develop eye-hand coordination, like this. There's another counting game that they play at trappers festivals now. And the trappers, they bring this out. These are made of caribou knuckle bones, and there's a scoring system to this. This is 1. This is 100. I never got this one yet. Yeah. I think it's defective, this thing. So then you swing and then you try and shoot it. One day I'll get it here. Okay, pretend on this. Wind. There's a wind there. You chose a windy room. So, and they would play different ways. They would play up to, or they would reverse it like darts. You know, so they play it back and forth. Here's another one here. We call this a Chitsa one. It's a top, and then you'd spin it like that. Or if you don't have a flat surface, you know, find one. Look, check this out. Can't do that. Yeah, on my finger, on my thumbnail. But you can either like play against it, like, so, or I know that Denny telling me they don't play this game because there's a story behind. There's actually a tragic story behind this of why they don't play this up north. So, and these ones here are also symbolic for like residential schools, because there are games like this that were toys like this that were taken away from the kids when they get to the schools. So then they had to be sneaky about these. I remember it was late Stan Cuthand, Stan the Man, and he said they used the tops there. They used a wooden spool with a nail through it, and they used their shoelace. After lights out, they wrap it and they spin it, so where they won't get caught. Because a lot of these games, it had to go underground because of not only residential school, but the government banned practices, our culture. I think it was like correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's like 1898 to about 1951. 1951 is a removal of the pass system. So, so a lot of these were banned. I'll play this with my granddaughter. She's 6, Tessa, and this one here is just straight strength. So she'll pull one hand, I'll pull the other, and we'll just have a little tug of war. And she'll try hard too, and because she likes to arm wrestle too. And we also use like 1 foot. There is one for the neck, but I won't do that with her. But then we'll play this one there, and we going back and forth. And then what she learns that I've noticed in the way she moves, like she'll have her weight on 1 foot, and her other foot will be dangling in the air as I'm pulling. Then what eventually happens is that she goes like this, and then she puts the center in the center of balance. And then sometimes she'll say that she's getting a burn on her hand, which happens. And what I tell her is that if you get a burn on your hand, just tough it out. And that's because you have to be able to endure pain, or you don't survive. I mean, in our culture, that's why we ask, when you're asking somebody how old are they, like how old are you? We're not asking like how old are you like in years. We're asking like it sounds something like Tanta Pipunin, like Pipun is winter. How many winters have you seen? Which is a testament of their survival skills. And in order to survive, you got to be able to endure pain. So what I tell my granddaughter, and she knows this too, she gets a little burn, just tough it out. She falls down, she's got to get up. So I won't baby her. Not trying to be cruel or anything, but in a nutshell, these are just a small portion of what traditional games are. Like, somebody asked, how many games do I know? I stopped counting at 100, and there are hundreds more out there. And these games not only have they may have little stories behind it, but there is reason behind them as well. And those reasons are still like valid today, which is actually why I'm still here, doing what I'm doing. So there's a place called the International Traditional Game Society, based out of Great Falls, Montana, and their mandate or mission statement, I guess, is to research the traditional games across Turtle Island and revive them, bring them back, because it's now a safe place now for them to come back. So it used to be traditional games were acquired skills to survive, but now they're more of acquired skills for cultural survival.